In the distant past, when the galaxy was young and the Sith Empire reigned supreme, there existed a Sith Lord of unparalleled power and dark knowledge. His name was Darth Serephus, a master of the forbidden arts, feared even by his fellow Sith for his ability to transcend the limits of life and death. Chapter 1: The Forbidden Art. The storm-swept world of Morabend, ancient home of the Sith, was a desolate and eerie place. Its crimson sands whispered of countless battles and dark rituals. Among the jagged cliffs and shadowed valleys stood the crumbling remains of temples, where ancient Sith Lords once held dominion over the dark side. In one such temple, hidden deep within the planet's forsaken wilderness, Darth Serephus studied tirelessly. Serephus was no ordinary Sith, unlike many of his peers, who sought power through brute strength or political maneuvering. Serephus was a scholar of the dark side. His quarters were filled with ancient texts, scrolls, and holocrons. The dim light from flickering torches cast an eerie glow over his collection. He spent days, weeks, even months deciphering the cryptic writings, delving into forbidden knowledge that even the most fearless Sith avoided. The Holocron of Darth Nihilus, a relic believed to be lost to time, was one such artifact that captivated Serephus. Nihilus, known for his ability to consume entire worlds, had hinted at a power beyond mere destruction, a way to manipulate life and death itself. Serephus became obsessed. His desire to master this ultimate power consumed him, driving him to isolate himself from other Sith. Years passed, and Serephus' reputation grew. Whispers among the Sith spoke of his unquenchable thirst for knowledge and his willingness to venture into the darkest corners of the Force. Many dismissed his pursuits as madness, but Serephus cared not. He was determined to unlock the secrets that had eluded even the greatest Sith Lords. One night, as a violent storm raged outside his temple, Serephus made a breakthrough. Amidst the thunder and lightning, he discovered an ancient map within a dusty tome. It depicted the location of a hidden chamber beneath the Valley of the Dark Lords, a place where the darkest of secrets were said to be buried. The map detailed a forgotten path through the catacombs, leading to a chamber that had been sealed for millennia. With renewed vigor, Serephus prepared for his journey. Clad in dark robes, he descended into the depths of Morabend, guided by the ancient map. The journey was treacherous. The catacombs were filled with traps and the lingering presence of long-dead Sith. But Serephus was undeterred. He fought off spectral guardians and navigated the labyrinthine passages until he reached a massive stone door, engraved with runes that pulsed with dark energy. With a deep breath, Serephus placed his hands on the door, channeling the Force to unlock it. The runes glowed brighter, and with a resounding crack, the door slowly opened. Beyond it lay the forgotten chamber, its walls lined with relics and artifacts of unimaginable power. In the center stood an altar, upon which rested the ancient Holocron of Darth Nihilus, a Sith Lord rumored to have mastered the art of necromancy. Serephus approached the altar with reverence, his heart pounding with anticipation. As he reached out to touch the Holocron, it activated, and a spectral image of Darth Nihilus appeared, his eyes glowing with an unearthly light. "Who seeks the knowledge of Darth Nihilus?" the ghostly figure intoned. "I am Darth Serephus," he declared, his voice unwavering. "I seek the power to transcend death itself." Nihilus regarded Serephus with a mix of curiosity and amusement. "Very well," he said, "but know this. Such power comes at a great cost. Are you prepared to pay it?" Without hesitation, Serephus nodded. He had come too far to turn back now. The path he had chosen was one of no return, and he was ready to embrace the darkness fully. Chapter 2: The Ritual of Shadows. With the Holocron of Darth Nihilus in his possession, Serephus began his journey into the dark art of necromancy. He returned to his temple, sealing himself away from the outside world. The knowledge contained within the Holocron was immense and complex, filled with ancient Sith rituals and forbidden spells. Each night, by the light of flickering torches, Serephus pored over the Holocron as secrets. He studied the intricate rituals, the precise incantations, and the complex symbols that were the key to manipulating the essence of life and death. The force thrummed with dark energy as he practiced, his connection to it growing deeper and more twisted with each passing day. Months turned into years as Serephus dedicated himself to mastering the rituals. He practiced on small creatures at first, experimenting with their life forces, pulling them back from the brink of death. Each success brought him closer to his ultimate goal. His obsession grew, consuming his every waking moment. One fateful night, under the blood-red moons of Morbend, Serephus decided to attempt the most dangerous and ambitious ritual yet. He had found an ancient Sith tomb, its occupant long forgotten. The tomb was located in a hidden valley, where the air was thick with the dark side, the perfect place for his experiment. With the holocron in hand, Serephus stood before the sarcophagus. He began the incantation, his voice a low, sinister murmur that echoed through the chamber. The air crackled with energy as he chanted, the darkness deepening around him. He extended his hands over the sarcophagus, channeling the force into the lifeless body within. As the ritual reached its climax, the darkness coalesced into a swirling vortex above the sarcophagus. Serephus' eyes glowed with a fierce light as he focused all his power on the task at hand. The vortex pulsed with dark energy, and from its depths, a figure began to materialize. The figure was shrouded in a ghostly aura, its form flickering between the realms of the living and the dead. It was the ancient Sith whose tomb Serephus had desecrated, now returned to a semblance of life. The reanimated Sith Lord looked around, confusion and rage evident in his ghostly eyes. "Who dares to disturb my eternal rest?" the spectral figure demanded, his voice a hollow echo filled with ancient malice. "I am Darth Serephus," the younger Sith declared, "and I seek the power you once wielded. Teach me the secrets of life and death." The ghostly Sith Lord regarded Serephus with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. "You have brought me back from the void, young one," he intoned. "Such power is not without consequence. Are you prepared to face the price?" Serephus met the spectre's gaze, unwavering. "I am ready," he replied. "I will pay any price for the knowledge I seek." The reanimated Sith Lord nodded slowly. "Very well," he said, his voice filled with an ancient and sinister wisdom. "The path you tread is dark and perilous, but if you are truly determined, I will guide you." Chapter 3: The Return. Under the spectral guidance of the ancient Sith Lord, Serephus' mastery of necromancy grew. He learned to bind the souls of the dead, to command their spirits, and to bend the force to his will in ways no Sith had done before. The rituals became second nature to him, his power over life and death increasing with each passing day. Serephus' physical appearance began to change. His once vibrant skin became pale and gaunt, his eyes hollow and haunted. The dark side as corruption took its toll, but he was undeterred. The more he delved into the dark arts, the more his body and soul were consumed. He became a wraith, a living shadow, more spirit than flesh. One evening, as the twin suns of Morbend set, casting long shadows across the desolate landscape, Serephus decided to test his power on a more significant scale. In a nearby village, a plague had swept through, leaving death and despair in its wake. The perfect opportunity to demonstrate his newfound abilities. He arrived at the village under the cover of darkness. The air was thick with the stench of decay, the silence only broken by the occasional wail of a mourner. Serephus walked among the dead and dying, his presence unnoticed by the villagers too consumed by their grief to pay him any mind. At the center of the village, he found a small square where the bodies of the recently deceased had been laid out. He stood before them, his eyes closed, and began the incantation. His voice, a low and menacing whisper, carried on the wind, reaching the ears of the villagers who watched in awe and fear. The air around him grew cold, and a dark mist began to rise from the ground. The bodies on the ground twitched, then began to move. Slowly, they rose, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. Gasps of shock and terror erupted from the onlookers as the dead stood before them, animated by the dark power of Darth Serephus. The reanimated villagers turned to Serephus, awaiting his command. He raised his hand, and with a single motion, the undead began to move, performing tasks they had done in life. They walked, they spoke, they even tended to the living. The villagers, though fearful, were astonished by what they witnessed. Their loved ones had returned, even if only in a twisted form. But Serephus' demonstration was not without consequence. The reanimation process was unstable, and soon the undead began to deteriorate. Their movements became erratic, their speech garbled and nonsensical. The villagers all turned to horror as their loved ones fell apart before their eyes, collapsing into lifeless heaps once more. Serephus observed the chaos with a cold detachment. He had succeeded in proving his power, but the results were far from perfect. He knew there was still much to learn, and many more secrets to uncover. The path he had chosen was fraught with peril, but he was determined to see it through. As he left the village, the spectral figure of Darth Tenebris appeared beside him. "You have taken your first steps into a larger world," the ancient Sith intoned. "But remember, the power you seek is not without its dangers. Every soul you pull back from the void leaves a mark, a stain on your very essence." Serephus nodded, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "I understand," he replied, "but I will not be deterred. I will master this power, no matter the cost." Chapter 4. The Price of Power. Years turned into decades as Serephus continued his dark studies. The rituals of necromancy became second nature to him, and his control over life and death grew ever stronger. He summoned spirits, commanded them, and even merged their life forces with his own to heal his wounds. His mastery was unparalleled, but the price he paid was steep. The dark side as corruption took its toll on Serephus' body and soul. His flesh withered, his eyes became empty voids, and his very presence became a blight upon the living. He had become a wraith, a living shadow, more spirit than flesh. His once great power now a curse that bound him to the darkness. Despite his fearsome reputation, Serephus found himself increasingly isolated. Other Sith, once intrigued by his power, now avoided him. They whispered of his madness, of the terrible price he had paid for his knowledge. Even the most ambitious acolytes steered clear, fearing the dark path Serephus had taken. One fateful day, a young Sith acolyte named Velara dared to challenge Darth Serephus. Driven by a desire for power and glory, she believed that defeating the ancient Sith would cement her place in history. Velara was bold and brash, her confidence matched only by her ambition. She confronted Serephus in his lair, her lightsaber ignited, and her heart filled with defiance. The lair of Darth Serephus was a place of dark power and foreboding. Located deep within the mountains of Morabend, it was filled with relics and artifacts of his dark arts. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the walls were adorned with the symbols of necromancy. Velara entered the lair, her eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of her quarry. She found Serephus in a large chamber, seated on a throne made of twisted metal and bone. His eyes glowed with an eerie light as he regarded the young acolyte. "You seek power, child." Serephus' voice was a chilling whisper that echoed through the chamber. "You wish to challenge me." Velara stood her ground, her lightsaber held steady. "I am Velara," she declared, her voice strong, "and I will defeat you. Serephus, your power will be mine." Serephus rose from his throne, his movements slow and deliberate. "Very well," he said, a twisted smile forming on his lips. "But know this, the power I wield comes at a great cost. Are you prepared to pay it?" Without hesitation, Velara lunged at Serephus, her lightsaber blazing. Serephus raised his hand, and the spirits of the dead rose around them, their ghostly forms a chilling testament to his dark prowess. Velara fought valiantly, her lightsaber cutting through the spectral figures, but she was no match for the ancient Sith Lord and his army of the damned. As she lay defeated and dying, Serephus approached her. "I can give you life," he whispered, "but at a price. Serve me in death, and you shall live again." With her last breath, Velara accepted, and Serephus performed the ritual. She rose anew, bound to him, another soul in his legion of the damned. Her body was whole, but her spirit was chained to Serephus, forever a servant to his dark will. Serephus watched as Velara adjusted to her new existence. Her eyes, once filled with ambition and fire, were now empty and hollow. She followed his every command without question, a testament to the power he wielded and the price she had paid. Chapter 5. The Eternal Cycle. Centuries passed, and the legend of Darth Serephus became a cautionary tale among the Sith. His lair, a place of dark power and eternal torment, remained a forbidden place. Few dared to seek it, and those who did never returned. Serephus himself became a myth, a dark figure that haunted the nightmares of Sith acolytes. His power was unmatched, but his existence was a hollow one. The price he had paid for his mastery over life and death had left him a shell of his former self, bound to the dark side and the souls he had enslaved. The galaxy moved on. Empires rose and fell, but the shadow of Darth Serephus endured. His lair, hidden deep within the mountains of Morbent, remained untouched by time. The artifacts and relics of his dark arts lay undisturbed, waiting for the next foolhardy soul to seek their power. One day, a group of Sith explorers, driven by curiosity and ambition, decided to venture into the Forbidden Lair. Led by a young and ambitious Sith named Kale, they believed that the secrets of Darth Serephus would grant them unparalleled power. Kale had heard the legends, but he dismissed them as mere stories meant to scare the weak-minded. He was determined to uncover the truth and claim the power that Serephus had once wielded. His group entered the lair, their lightsabers casting a pale glow in the darkness. As they delved deeper, they encountered the remnants of Serephus' dark magic. The air was thick with the presence of the dark side, and the walls seemed to whisper with the voices of the damned. Kale and his companions pressed on, undeterred by the ominous atmosphere. In the central chamber, they found the throne of Darth Serephus, now empty and covered in dust. Kale approached it, his eyes filled with a mixture of awe and greed. He reached out to touch the throne, but before he could, a cold, hollow voice echoed through the chamber. "Who dares to enter my domain?" Kale turned to see a shadowy figure emerging from the darkness. It was Darth Serephus, his form a twisted and ghostly visage of his former self. His eyes glowed with an eerie light as he regarded the intruders. "I am Kale," the young Sith declared, his voice filled with defiance. "I seek the power of Darth Serephus." Serephus' laughter echoed through the chamber, a chilling sound that sent shivers down Kale's spine. "You seek power, but you do not understand the price," Serephus intoned. "Are you prepared to face the consequences of your ambition?" Kale hesitated, the legends of Serephus' dark deeds and the price he had paid flashing through his mind. But his ambition drove him forward. "I am prepared," he said, his voice steady. Serephus' eyes gleamed with dark amusement. "Very well," he said, "but remember, the power you seek is a double-edged sword. It will grant you great strength, but it will also demand a terrible price." With those words, Serephus extended his hand, and the chamber was filled with dark energy. The spirits of the dead rose around them, their ghostly forms a testament to Serephus' dark power. Kale and his companions stood their ground, ready to face whatever came next. Chapter 6. Legacy of Darkness. Spirits surrounded Kale and his companions, their ghostly forms a chilling testament to the power of Darth Serephus. As the dark energy swirled around them, Kale felt a cold dread seep into his bones, but his ambition and determination kept him standing firm. Serephus watched with an eerie calm, his hollow eyes fixed on the young Sith. "You seek power, Kale," he said, his voice a whisper that seemed to come from all around. "But do you truly understand what that means?" Kale raised his lightsaber, its red blade casting a blood-red glow in the darkness. "I understand enough," he replied. "I am not afraid of the dark side." Serephus smiled, a twisted and sinister expression. "Fear is not the only price," he intoned. "The power you seek will consume you, twist you into something unrecognizable. It will bind you to the darkness, as it has bound me." Kale's resolve wavered for a moment, but he steeled himself. "I will accept that risk," he said. Show me the way. With a gesture, Serephus summoned a spectral image of the ancient rituals he had once performed. The chamber filled with the eerie glow of dark magic, the symbols and incantations dancing in the air. Kale watched in awe as the secrets of necromancy were laid bare before him. Serephus began the ritual, his voice a low and menacing chant. The spirits around them responded, their forms flickering and pulsing with dark energy. Kale followed his lead, repeating the incantations and mimicking the gestures. He could feel the power of the dark side flowing through him, a cold and intoxicating force. As the ritual reached its climax, Kale felt a surge of energy unlike anything he had ever experienced. The spirits around him responded, their forms solidifying and becoming more tangible. He could see their faces, twisted and tormented, but filled with a dark power. Serephus watched with a mixture of satisfaction and sorrow. He knew the path Kale had chosen, and he knew the price that would be paid. But he also saw the potential in the young Sith, the same ambition and drive that had once fueled his own quest for power. As the ritual concluded, Kale stood before Serephus, his eyes glowing with an eerie light. He could feel the power of necromancy coursing through him, the dark side's grip tightening around his soul. But he also felt a sense of triumph, a feeling of having achieved something truly remarkable. "You have succeeded," Serephus said, his voice filled with a dark pride. "But remember, the power you now wield is a double-edged sword. It will grant you great strength, but it will also demand a terrible price." Kale nodded, his expression one of grim determination. "I understand," he replied. "I will not let this power consume me." Serephus watched as Kale and his companions left the chamber, their forms disappearing into the darkness. He knew that the young Sith had only just begun his journey, and that the true test of his resolve was yet to come. As he stood alone in the chamber, Serephus felt a pang of regret. He had once been like Kale, driven by ambition and a desire for power. But the path he had chosen had led him to a place of darkness and torment. A place where he was bound to the souls he had enslaved. Even in death, Darth Serephus' influence lingered, a dark force waiting in the shadows, ready to teach the next Sith who dared to seek the ultimate power that death itself could be defied, but never truly conquered. And so ends the tale of Darth Serephus, the ancient Sith who could bring back the dead. His story is a chilling reminder that the pursuit of ultimate power often leads to one's own destruction, and that some secrets are best left buried.